Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast brought by Closures.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan Kohut, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Larry Pruett, the founder and CEO of Side by Side Business, who draws on 27 years of entrepreneurship to coach married entrepreneurs alongside his wife, Sue. With 34 years of marriage fueling their approach, they help couples scale businesses without sacrificing their relationships, building a community for those refusing to choose between career ambitions and personal connection. After exiting a $20 million agency and scaling 11 ventures, Larry now delivers hands-on strategies through structured sessions that provide clarity for business growth and lasting partnerships. With that being said, Larry, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Hey, thank you so much for having me here.
It's a pleasure to have you on, man. I was looking forward to the conversation. We're going to jump right into it. And what I love to do at the beginning of every single episode is a bit of time traveling. So before you even had this company, the current project, just walk us through the journey. What have you been doing before that? And then eventually, what was the motivation for starting the business?
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to do that. So our background is in e-commerce. And so we have sold online for a couple decades and have been doing that full time for the last 12, 13 years. And so along the way, we had an opportunity to become coaches as part of a bigger coaching program. And so we were teaching, obviously, the details of starting a business, scaling a business, sourcing product, all of the details and such. But in the process, we just noticed that a lot of the business owners who were being very successful with their business, they're making a lot of money, but their life was totally out of balance. And relationships were being hurt, and they were coming across all kinds of challenges in that aspect of their life. And so we just started seeing more and more that, yes, we're teaching these details on the business, and we definitely want to encourage businesses to grow, but we don't want to see that happen at the expense of the family and relationships. And so over the last a little bit over a year now, we have turned our focus, my wife and I have turned our focus to side by side business and specifically helping married entrepreneurs. We just have a heart for couples and to make sure that they scale their business, but in the right way so that they don't ruin those important relationships in that process.
Man, I absolutely love this. I mean, obviously, it's been several decades for you in the
Yeah.
industry. So obviously, I'm sure the journey wasn't linear. There was a lot of adjusting along the way.
Mhm.
And it seems like the most recent pivot really is just combining what you saw along the journey, right? People who are hustling, they want to grind it out. They want their business to grow, but at the same time, the relationship is struggling. So I'm loving the combination here. Obviously, we're gonna dive deeper into everything.
Mhm.
And going into this part of the podcast, just to be clear, my goal is very simple. I want our listeners to truly understand, first of all, who is it absolutely exactly, the ICP that you have created for yourselves, but also what does the client journey actually look like? So, in a way, what is the core offering that you have in place?
Yeah, so we have a lot of flexibility, and so we do personalize our offer for every couple that we talk to. Matter of fact, we are working. Sometimes we'll work one on one. Which I'll work with the husband. Sue will work with the wife. Sometimes we'll work two on two as a couple with that couple. Um, and so it's very personalized because it's just hard to make this boilerplate for everybody. Yes, we have a framework that we walk through, but then some couples honestly are really struggling, and maybe their marriage is on the rocks a little bit. And so that's going to be a totally different approach to a couple that is in a good spot with their relationship, but maybe they're trying to scale their business, but they're trying to do it in a way that is, again, making sure that their relationships stay strong in that process. We work with couples who have had a side hustle and they wanted to make their business their full-time thing. And how do you prepare for that? How do you prepare financially and just the fact that you're going to be together all day, every day? How do you prepare for that? Um, so we definitely, again, we have a core framework that we generally take everybody through, but the offer itself is very personalized. And so we do offer a free strategy session with any couple who is interested, and we can make that available for all of your listeners here as well. So we can kind of find out where you're at, where you're wanting to go, and then give you help for that journey.
I love this. Now, obviously, as you said yourself, this is truly customized and very personalized for every single client that you work with. I get that. But also, when you look at the framework that you have created together with the methodology that you use, looking back at all of the clients that you work with, what would you say is like the average period of time that it takes for you to really walk the client through every step of the way, get them from point A to point B, and really set them up for success?
So we have our general concept is to go for an 8 week time period.
Mm,
8 weeks seems to be a really good framework to get some foundation in their relationship and in the different aspects. We cover the 4 different areas over those 8 weeks. And then some couples want to continue on, and we can do a month, month by month type of a thing, ongoing like that. It just kind of depends upon their circumstance. How far is it from point A to point B for this particular couple? That's what we're trying to determine. But if we can start with that 8 week foundational time period, then we can determine together if we want to continue on beyond that.
absolutely. Looking back at all of the couples that you work with, I'm just curious, what would you say is typically like the biggest aha moment or the pivotal point where you feel like, yes, we are going to be able to overcome the biggest challenge for them?
It's one of the most amazing things to me is that how a couple can be married even for a significant amount of time and not really know the other person very well. And so
Yep.
that's one of the things we really dig into deeply is getting to understand your spouse better. And so there are so many times where we've seen couples go like, "Oh, that explains why he does this or she does that." And sometimes it is kind of funny, and it's a fun process to do that, but it's also very eye-opening. And I remember whenever Sue and I started doing things like personality tests and such, we kind of think about that in the business world, and that's really important in the business world. But how many couples have sat down and done that together and said, "I'm this personality type and you're that personality type. So what's the best way for me to approach you with something that is a tough subject? Maybe it's something that I know you're not going to be real happy whenever I approach you about this." And there are ways of doing that. It's not manipulation or anything. It's just speaking to that person in the way that they will hear you more effectively. And it's a much higher likelihood that you're going to have a successful conversation. It's not going to devolve into an argument or some big challenging type situation.
Yeah, I love this. I love this. Larry, one thing that I also want to talk about though is what is currently happening behind the scenes and specifically with your marketing and lead generation strategy to even get in front of the right people? Because this industry and these kind of projects have been really growing over the past few years. People are finally starting to realize that I need to work basically on both of those parts and both of those aspects of my life because it's very interconnected. But obviously, everybody has a different strategy when it comes to this. So I'm curious, what is really happening there that allows you to have the ability to still onboard new clients, new couples, and keep changing lives?
Yeah, that's a great question because that is constantly a challenge, right? To get people in the top of funnel and to eventually lead toward clients. And so we have our own podcast. We do we have our website, of course. And one method that has been very effective for us, which may be a little bit surprising because many of our clients are people of faith, and so we are able to write Bible plans for an app called the YouVersion Bible app. Some people may be familiar with it. It's a very popular app, and they have individual contributors who can write a Bible plan for 3, 5, 7 days, and we've had really good success with people reading those plans and then signing up for our email newsletter and then working through our funnel. So um, again, because we work with a lot of people of faith, that's not a requirement, but that's kind of who we are, and so that's who we have had a tendency to attract. That has been a really good method for us to bring couples into our funnel.
I like that. That's creative.
Yeah, it
And
was
you don't
very
see that
surprising
many.
to me.
Yeah, I mean, it is surprising though, but obviously it helps. And also with you making that observation that a lot of the people that you work with are actually faith-based,
Yeah,
this just helps you get even more clarity in terms of
yeah,
how you need to speak with those people and
yeah,
really get in front of them speaking their language, literally, right?
yeah.
So I love that. But also, Larry, everything that you've mentioned so far is, I can confidently say, only on the side of organic. Which there is no issues with that at all, but we all know that when it comes to organic, it's typically a slow drip. So I'm very curious if you've also tried, you and Sue, maybe investing into paid advertisement to create something more predictable, maybe doing some strategic partnerships or any other source that would help you build this up quicker.
Yes, we have honestly we have not done much as far as the paid advertising goes. We've dabbled in that just a little bit, just with some social media advertising. We have done some strategic partnerships though, where people who have a large list of married couples, but we focus primarily on the married entrepreneurs. So we're kind of a sub niche from that. So we've partnered up with people on a couple of different ways. One was doing a webinar that was just promoted to that list. And then so we did a webinar just for that particular group. Another time was just a simple email that went out, and we provided a free resource for that list and brought in a good number of people to our list from that method.
I love it. When it comes to taking care of the email marketing, the strategy of creating content, staying engaged with your audience, I think to anybody in business, it's pretty obvious that there is a lot of effort and time that goes into this. So I'm also curious whether you guys are trying this, trying to run this company as just you two as a duo, or whether the intention is to possibly also create or launch your own internal teams, whether it's for marketing, sales, or whatever the case might be. What is the idea?
Yeah, I would love to be adding people to our, especially to the sales aspect of things, just because that is a such a time consuming part of the process. And I do know that we need to be involved. We will probably always be involved with that process because most of the time people want to buy, they want to talk to the people who have produced the content and such. But outside of having an editor for our podcast and our YouTube channel, it's just my wife and I that are doing this. And we kind of like that right now, but we are also looking forward to the time where we're growing enough where we can expand out our team.
I love it. When we talk about growth and scalability, I'm curious, what is your general idea of what the company and the scalable model could look like? Obviously, you have a chance to go with an alternative to hire other coaches to work under you with the same methodology, possibly focus on group coaching. What is that to you?
Yeah, and we have done group coaching before as well, and that definitely helps with the scalability. But I do think a paid community is something that we definitely want to go to that would open up the opportunity for almost unlimited number of clients from that standpoint. And that is something actually that we are, as the time of this recording in early 2026, we are planning on starting a group just for the men and another group just for the ladies. And we have found that although it's great, it's best to work with couples together. It's best for me as a man to be talking to the husband with the wife right there present so she can hear it. And it's very, very helpful. But we
Mhm.
also understand that people are very private and sometimes they don't want to admit something in front of their spouse or they don't want to, um, I don't know, they just don't want to have that conversation. So since we are recognizing that more and more, we've decided to do the individual approach as well as the couple approach. And so again, when the questions about scalability, this will give us great opportunities to have a group type of a situation where there's content available, there's community, there's accountability, there's support, encouragement. All of those things are available, and we could be bringing people in at a lower dollar amount per month, of course, and but they would still have access to the teachings and the general principles.
I like it because it puts you in a position where you can just serve more people. Now,
Yeah,
when you think about it, it's especially working with this kind of target audience, you're never going to be in a situation where anybody who is joining your pipeline is going to be in a position to invest, right? So if you really want to help them, there needs to be several different tiers or
Yeah.
options. Obviously, you guys are already creating free content, which is great for you to really stay engaged with the audience and everything like that. But yeah, this is definitely a step into the right direction. Now, knowing that this is a part of your plan, I want to dive deeper into those goals and plans that you have for the future,
Mhm.
especially the short-term goals, maybe the next 6 to 12 months.
Mhm.
What would you say, Larry, really is going to happen next year in terms of your targets, goals, revenue, milestones that you guys have set for yourself?
Yeah, and I love thinking about the future and planning. And again, here we are at the beginning of this new year, and so this is a great time to be talking about this. And we do want to serve as many people as we possibly can. For the group coaching experience, we found that like 5 couples at a time is a really good metric, and we do that again over 8 weeks. And so, if you think about that, we're only quote unquote impacting 30 couples, and but that is a great goal for us to have with that aspect of things, is 30 couples over the course of a year. In addition to that, we as we measure out our capacity, we think we could probably handle 5 to 10 other couples on an individual basis, so upwards of maybe 100 couples over the course of a year. Um, and so that's really our goal, to get to that point. So I'm trying to do the math live here, but what is that, 120 couples or something like that, that we
Yeah.
could impact over the course of a year. And in some ways, that's shooting pretty high for us to be able to um, yeah, accomplish that goal of reaching that many couples in the short of amount of time. But we do also think that it's doable. And so that's kind of what we have on the radar for this year.
I love it. I love you just keeping it real though. You just
Yes.
established that, yeah, I mean, listen, there's still some stuff that I need to figure out, but is it doable? Absolutely. So I think that it goes back to the day-to-day stuff and really having the right processes and operations in place, right? As we said before, it really comes down to the ability to get in front of the right people. So it's also exciting to me to see that you're still willing to explore other venues, other alternatives, because that's going to be a huge help. And also, let me ask you this question, just to build on top of the honesty that you're providing me with the entire conversation.
Yeah.
When you really think about hitting those and achieving those goals, out of everything, what would you personally assume or expect that is going to become the biggest challenge to making it happen?
Well, I do think it's the top end of the funnel,
Mhm.
just getting our information out there in front of more people. And we are starting to see some word of mouth as well. And again, as you mentioned earlier, that is a trickle though. And so we do want to build this in the right way. We do believe in slow and steady approach, and building connections and talking with people and having all these conversations. And that is a little bit exhausting. But I would say that's our biggest challenge, is just spreading the word, getting our information out in front of the most qualified candidates for our services.
Absolutely. Larry, I want to ask you one last question. And this is actually one of my favorite ever, but considering you've been in business for such a long time, if you could maybe travel back in time and speak to your younger self,
Yeah.
what would you say would be the best piece of advice that you would give yourself?
I would say don't undervalue the importance of connections,
Hmm.
because at the time I used to just, I did not like doing masterminds. I did not like networking. I said, I want to do what I do here, just sitting in front of my computer with nobody around me. I'm very introverted that way, right? And so I've made connections over the years, but I wasn't intentional about really building those relationships to serving other people as well as what I could have. And then therefore that ends up coming around to you as well, of course, is kind of the idea. But I think for founders, for business owners, we're always in a hurry. We're always trying to make the next big deal. Um, but to build connections, to build relationships, that's the way to really build that strong foundation for a business that's going to last for decades.
Agreed. 1000%. Well, Larry, I'm curious how this is gonna look like in the future. So possibly we're gonna have to do a part two and you just coming back to Founders Future, maybe a year down the road, maybe 2 years, and just talking about the growth that you experienced. But at this point, let me just say thank you so much for taking the time today, sharing this lovely story with me and the audience. I really appreciate your time. And if anybody from our listeners would like to get in touch with you, connect, and perhaps one day even work with you, what is the best way to go about it?
Yeah, they can go to our website, which is sidebysidebusiness.com. And on the homepage of our website, you'll see all of our free resources, including a free set of connection cards. So if husband and wife that run a business together, these connection cards will just kind of give you conversation starters. And we found that those have been very helpful for couples. And so that is our free gift for all of your listeners.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. And thank you for your time again. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Love it. To our listeners now, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io, get in touch with our team, and discover how exactly we scaled our company from 0 to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on crushing it, and I'll see you on the next one.